The following is a 95.1, 94.9 The Oasis presentation.
We love all cars, but we have a particular passion for the rare, high-performance and collector cars. The monthly motorsports gathering is a reflection of that. This is the Scottsdale Motorsports Gathering.
I'm Ron. We're at Scuderia Southwest in Scottsdale. It's Cars and Coffee. It's the first Saturday of every month, and I'm with Chip Beck. And Chip, you're with Ford, or you're a huge Ford enthusiast. You have your 2017 Ford GT here. Tell me about this awesome Ford GT.
This is, like you said, a 2017 Ford GT. It's one of only 122 Ford GTs that they built during the 2017 model year. So they are a very low production car. They're all hand-built. When you consider that Ferrari builds 8,000 cars a year and Maserati and McLaren both make about 8,000 cars a year, Ford made 122 Ford GTs last year. So it's an exclusive car and a lot of fun to drive and very hard to get.
Tell me about your process in getting this vehicle.
They had an application process that everybody had to go through, and I spent about 2 weeks working on it. I submitted 2 videos, 30 photographs, and a big factor in getting one of the cars was documenting what you did with your old Ford GT. I have a 2006 Ford GT, this exact same color, speed yellow with black stripes, and I've been the moderator of the Ford GT Forum, which is the International Ford GT Club, for the last decade. So I've been very involved in the Ford GT community, and I've gotten to know the Ford family who comes to our events. I've traveled to the 24 Hours of Le Mans 3 times now, and with the Ford team and the Ford family to watch the race, and all of my work with the Ford GT community over the last decade is what enabled me to get one of the limited number of cars that they doled out.
So you started to say it was an application that you had to go through. Sounds like you had to put on an entire presentation.
You did. It was like getting into an exclusive college.
Okay.
You had to fill out a lot of information. They wanted to know who you were, what your social media presence was. Ford wanted to give these cars to people who would have them out in the public where people could go and see them. At events like this, they didn't want to sell them to some Middle East billionaire who would put it in his collection, put a sheet over it, and then it would disappear from sight for all time. They wanted to give the cars to people who would take them to road rallies, who would put them on the track, who would bring them to car shows, and actually drive the cars. So if you had a 2005 or 6 GT and it's 12 years old and you only had 1,000 miles on it, you weren't getting one of the new cars. You had to show that you had driven the car and been very active with it.
Service records and everything. Here you go. I think that's a very in-depth process to find the right person to drive a vehicle. And you said only 117.
122.
122, sorry. This one you said has a special serial number, is that correct?
Yes, I requested serial number 34, and my car is serial number 000034, is the last digits. My number when I race at the Texas Mile in my 2006 GT is 34. My legal name is Charles Lewis Beck III. My son is Charles Lewis Beck IV, so 34 represents Chip and Charlie, my son and myself. And so when I was getting this car, they told me I was getting one of the first 50 built, and I said, if that's the case, can I request a specific serial number? And Henry Ford III, in fact, gave me serial number 34 that I requested.
It's a really great story. It goes into, the process to actually be able to buy the vehicle and then getting a special custom serial number. That's really got to make this car even more special.
It is. It's the only one that's painted this color of yellow, speed yellow. It's a vintage Ford color that's not used anymore. They offer the modern Mustang triple yellow, which is a little paler than this color. Quite a bit different when you put them side by side. So this is the only Ford GT that's painted this particular color. It's made to my specs, and I've really been enjoying it.
Can you tell me if Ford has any more plans for the GT?
Well,
in the future?
They've committed to building 750 cars, and initially they thought that they'd make 250 a year. They only made 122 last year, so they're a little behind, and production has ramped up. This year they'll probably build somewhere between 200 and 240 in 2018. But it's going to take them about 4 years to build the 750 cars that they've committed to building. And every buyer, every car is already pre-sold to buyers who went through the application process like I did. So if you went into a Ford dealership today, even if you had $1 billion and said, I want a new Ford GT, you can't buy one. They're all assigned to buyers. If they get all those cars built in 4 years and they have the ability to build a few more, they'll open up the process once more, but you'll have to go through the application process. The last time about 20,000 people started it, it was so arduous that only about 7,000 people completed the application process.
Okay.
And out of that 7,000, they picked 500 people who they were giving cars to and 250 on an alternate list, and ultimately they committed to build all 750 cars for those 750 people.
Okay. Can you tell me where this is built at, where it's assembled at?
It's built in Markham, Ontario, Canada. They're hand-built at a race car building factory called Multimatic. Multimatic builds the race cars. A version of this car won the 24 Hours of Le Mans 50 years to the day after Ford first won it in 1966 and 2016. The race car and this car have the exact same carbon fiber body. It's even got the jacking points for the air jacks that go on the race car. And at a point in the production of this car, it takes about 6 weeks, start to finish, to build one. But you could actually take the body of this car and turn it into one of the race cars. It's not it's not all that different from the car that they're racing at the 24 Hours of Le Mans.
Wow, that's great to know. What you said, you were able to make have this custom made for you, and how much of this is custom for you? What is it that you get to?
Well, they will paint the
on?
car any color in the rainbow. They offer 6 standard colors and 6 different stripe colors. But if you want a different color, like I didn't want my car painted triple yellow like the Mustang color, I wanted it painted speed yellow to match my old GT. Well, for an extra $30,000, they will paint the car any color in the rainbow. You could have it purple or green or fuchsia or pale blue, whatever you want. They'll paint the car that color. So it's painted speed yellow for me. Normally the bottom fascia is just painted black. That's bright carbon fiber. These wheels are Featherlight. They're all carbon fiber wheels. It's got a special leather interior. The stripe color was picked out by myself. There's 2 different exhaust systems you can put on the car, and I've got my own special serial number.
So from the day you found out that you were approved, how long did it take for you to get delivery of this beauty?
All the approvals went out on the same day, and I got one of the first 50 cars, so I had to wait about a year. But there are people who will be waiting over 4 years. If you're at the tail end of that 750, it will have been 4.5 years before you actually get your GT.
So was there a secret to being one of the first 50, or was it just this awesome presentation that you put together for Ford?
I think that Ford wanted to put the first 50 in the hands of their most hardcore enthusiasts. I've traveled back to the 24 Hours of Le Mans 3 times now to watch the Ford GTs race. I've been there with the Ford family. They know that I go to a lot of car shows and events like this, and they also wanted to give them to people who that if something went wrong. I mean, it's a brand new car. It's a very complicated car with a lot going on. I understand there's 35 onboard computers and all kinds of software and things going on. That if something went wrong, they don't want somebody who's going to, have a conniption fit and blast it all over the internet.
Right.
And in my case, the car has been, just about perfect. A couple of really minor details, but I have not had any trouble with it at all.
So how much driving does this car get? How many miles are you putting on it?
I've had it about 6 months, and I've got not quite 2,000 miles on it. So
Okay.
I have had it out and driving, and I've driven it up to Payson and back a couple times, and I drive it around the valley. I bring it to a lot of car shows, events like this. I probably let, 15 or 20 different people drive it.
Okay. I was
friends
going to
of
ask,
mine
do you
or
ever
whatnot.
let anybody drive your?
I do let people know, and most people don't. Most of the Ferrari guys, they do not let people get in their car, and I don't let them take it on their own. I drive with them, but I've let a lot of people drive my car, and I've taken a ton of people for rides in it. Even people that I meet at shows like this, I've taken some of the young kids out for a drive, and they get a big kick out of it, and I get a big kick out of it. When I come to events like this, I never show up without a whole box of Hot Wheels that I had made to match my car.
Oh, wait.
And
Now
I give
you're
them out.
having custom Hot Wheels made.
I give those out to little kids at the shows, and they all get a big kick out of it. It's a speed yellow Ford GT with black stripes, and I've probably given out 500 of those over the last 6 months to little kids at car shows.
That's great. You have an awesome Ford GT and you have an awesome Hot Wheels GT. This is great. You're becoming my hero all of a sudden. I wanted to touch base with you real quick on you being a social media influencer for Ford. How many followers do you have on social media?
Well, I don't have I don't know. I probably got 500 Instagram followers, but my primary social media is being the head moderator of the Ford GT Forum, and that I've done that for a decade now, and that forum is read by pretty much all the top Ford factory executives and Ford GT enthusiasts all over the world. And I have somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000 posts over the last decade. I also am the spokesperson at all the national rallies, of which I'm one of only 5 people to have been to all 12 national rallies and a bunch of other events. And I put on a lot of Ford GT events here in the Valley as well.
Great. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today and getting to know your vehicle and how it all came to be here in this parking lot today. It's an amazing story that I don't think anybody can really talk about when it comes to their experience with buying a Ford.
Well, it's been a great car for me, and I've really enjoyed it. I love bringing it to car shows. I like having it someplace where the kids can enjoy it. Little kids can get in the car and sit in the driver's seat. It's been great for me, but the more other people enjoy it and see it, then the more I like it as well.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for coming out today. It was wonderful
Thank
to meet you.
Thank you for coming out, and if you've got a young son or daughter, keep that car, and even if you don't have one, you can keep it yourself.
Oh, well, thank you.
This is the Scottsdale Motorsports Gathering.